Welcome to the Cosmic Oracle Show on Facebook. We're live, and we have with us this evening, we have an amazing guest. I think you'll love her. She's a lot of fun, and it's like for 2 hours, I mean, we could probably talk for 2 days, okay? But we're gonna all come together, and we have SEV TOK, that's SEV TOK, as a guest here tonight on Revolution Radio and also on Facebook on the Cosmic Oracle Show. So here's an image of her book, You Have the Right to Talk to Aliens, SEV TOK. So I'm really excited. She'll be coming on. And hi, Michael Harrell. I love you, my friend, and all of your good work that you do for the world. And I don't know Lee Bodge very well, but welcome, Lee. Greetings to the show. I'll be having SEV TOK come on she should be meeting us here in the chat on Facebook in just a few minutes, and then we'll go live on Revolution Radio at the same time. So welcome everyone. We'll be I'm kind of playing with some things to see if it's better to kind of start here a few minutes before we actually go live on Revolution Radio at the same time. So welcome Margaret and Lee and Michael and Sebel, Michael, and Linda Burton. Welcome to the show. So we will be having SEV TOK about 10 after 5. We're gonna, at 5 o'clock, we will start Revolution Radio, and we will be coming live broadcasting on Revolution Radio as well at 5 o'clock. Hi, Allison Thompson and Linda Burton again. Oh, big heart. Yay, I feel like I need to meet you, Linda. I feel like I know you or something. I don't know what that connection is, but I know you do a lot of good work for the world as well. So big hello to you. Oh, the stream's clear. That's always good. You never know, what's going on. So it's really, I'm really happy to be here. I've had quite a week. I was at UFO Con over the weekend and had a great time meeting a whole bunch of people, wonderful people that I'm going to be bringing on the show. So I'm going to have Preston Dennett will be on next Friday, and after that I have Solaris Blue Raven, and then I have Eric Mitchell. I mean, the list goes on and on. So and I have people starting to call me and email me to be on the show. So that makes my life much easier as well. So yeah, Allison, I know this is SEV TOK. And if you can see, there's an X marks the spot. Those are the little marks that she received on her body from an alien visitation. So she'll be talking about that. And it happened twice. So we're going to find out about that and her relationship with those beings. So I just got off the phone with her. Hi, Bill Holman. Okay, nice to see you. I'm really looking forward, Bill, to being with the Crystal Skull, your meditation afterwards, after the Cosmic Oracle Show tonight. So Bill, if you want to put that link in the chat right here on Facebook, please do that. I haven't had a chance to do that today, but Bill, if you want to go in and put that link to the Crystal Skull meditation, it happens right after my show tonight. From we're on here from 5 to 7 if you're in LA, and then his is from 7 to 9, I think it is. So, and there's a link at the Crystal Skull, Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull. If you go on his Facebook page, there's a link there to his Crystal Skull meditation this evening. So it's worth checking it out. I had the opportunity to do that with Bill before, and it's really, really fun. And you never know where that Crystal Skull is going to take you, but it'll be a good place, that's for sure. So we don't know where we're going tonight. I just know I'm excited to have SEV TOK here this evening, and I want to thank all of you guys for taking your time to be with us this evening, and feel free to ask questions ahead of time. If there's any particular questions you'd like to ask Sev, you can do that here, and I'll make sure that I ask her those questions. So hang on, everybody. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go now onto Revolution Radio, hook us up with the server, and have us live on Revolution Radio at the same time. So that way we get to talk to thousands and thousands of people at the same time. So, and in Europe and all over the world. You know, Cosmic Oracle, we have a lot of viewers from Australia. That's one of my biggest followings, are people from Australia, and I have never made it to Australia. That is one place I really want to go. So I'd love to hang out and sit in the presence of the elders there. So, and I have a good friend that just is over in Australia right now, Sunbo. You might know him if you're in the Sasquatch timing. He's all about Sasquatch and his work with them on the planet right now, and he's doing a lot of work with the elders in Australia as we speak. And that's Jean, and I'm probably Letelier, okay, but we know him as Sunbo. And he is having quite an adventure in Australia right now, working with the elders, and you can check out his website too. And so there we go. Oh, you do? Yeah, they are. Australia is great. Okay, so stay right where you are, everybody. Hang in there. And I'm going to now switch over. I won't go anywhere, but I'm going to switch to Revolution Radio and pull us on the server. So here we go. Studio B. Okay. Okay, so we are live now on Revolution Radio.
Barbara is an acclaimed psychic, spiritual healer.
Okay, lost it for a second there. Okay, so we're going to go here. Okay, everyone hang in there. We're almost there. Okay. All right, let's see if we can hear it on here, what's going on. It'll just be a second. Let's see if we can hear it here. Lost it for a second there.
As the Cosmic Oracle, she is a conduit to the powers that be to answer your questions about your future self, past lives, current career, love. She shines light into the darkness to illuminate what was, what may be, and beyond. The readings and advice given by Barbara Jean Lindsey are for entertainment purposes only, should not take the place of any medical, legal, or financial advice given to you by a qualified professional, and are not a substitute for medical, legal, or financial advice. If you need a doctor, call a doctor. If you need to be expanded, call the Cosmic Oracle.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Cosmic Oracle Show. This is your host, Barbara Jean Lindsey, and it is Friday all day long, Friday, February 28th, 2020. And we would like to say thank you to all of you listeners who have given so much. Oh, you can't hear me. Not sure what that is. So can everyone hear me here? Hi, Eric. Hey, we're going to have you on the show really soon. So, but for all you tuning in, welcome everyone to the Cosmic Oracle Show. This is your host, Barbara Jean Lindsey, and it is Friday all day long. I don't know. We are Friday, February 28th, 2020, and we would like to say thank you to all of you listeners who have given so much. Oh, you can't hear me. Yeah, not sure what that is. So can everyone hear me here? Hi, Eric. Hey, we're going to have you on the show really soon. So, but for all you tuning in, welcome everyone to the Cosmic Oracle Show. Okay, this so is your host, Barbara Jean Lindsey. I've never had this before, so let's. We are having February 28th, 2020, and we would like to say thank you to all of you listeners who have given so much. Oh, you can't hear me. Yeah, we're getting a double. I've never had that before. Hi, Eric. Hey, we're going to have you on the show really soon. So, but for all you tuning in, welcome. Let's see if I can fix this. Okay, so this is okay. So what's going on is I'm talking to your multi-dimensional self. Okay, and we'll fix that. Let's see if I fix that. Hello, now we can hear you. Oh my God. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We're good now. Thank you for tuning into the Cosmic Oracle Show. And we're an all volunteer station, so no one gets paid for their time here. At Revolution Radio, we have over 80 shows, maybe more. We're on almost 24/7, and you can reach us at freedomslips.com. That's freedomslips.com. And we're only here due to your generosity, because we're an all volunteer station. No one gets paid, and so it's up to you to keep the lights on and everything going. So it's been a really good month for us. We need $2,000 to make it through the month. So we're asking if you could go to freedomslips.com, hit that donate button, and give whatever you can, $5, $10 to keep everything going. And we have a new store there too, where you can buy cups and mugs and cups and mugs and mugs and cups and t-shirts, and with the really cool Revolution Radio logo on it that Mr. Thomas Painter created just for us. So please, thank you again for giving generously, and welcome to the show. And so we have with us this evening, I'll just bring her on right now. I'm going to bring her on Skype because we're just going to go directly to her. So I'm going to add SEV TOK to the show. I can see her on Facebook. Welcome to the Facebook also, Sev. And so you're welcome to come in on that. Let's see, we're going to add right here. Come on, there we go. And we're going to get Sev on Revolution Radio right now. There she is. I talk to myself, that's from having children, where you talk to them like when you go to the store, tell them to behave. So we're calling Sev right now. We should be able to bring her directly on the air. Hello, Sev, and welcome to the Cosmic Oracle Show.
Hello, everyone. Yay! It's a pleasure.
I feel good.
Evening with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you, and it's not a double, which is really good.
Okay.
And we have you live on Facebook as well. So, Houston, we are like totally on target. How's that?
Very nice.
So we'd like to give them a little bit of a background about you, if you don't mind, Sev, while you're in the house here. Sev has over 10 years experience as a spiritual counselor, conducting thousands of soul sessions with clients around the world. Since childhood, she aligned with her interdimensional abilities to gain knowledge regarding our multi-dimensional reality, energetic quantum field, and how to access innate power to create a fulfilling and authentic life. Sev is a lifelong experiencer, helping experiencers around the world. Recently coming out about her ET contact in Roswell, New Mexico, Baltimore, Maryland, Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C., and North Carolina has activated her life purpose. She has conscious memories with a variety of ET types, sharing knowledge about DNA activation, hybridization programs, and our role in the galactic universe. So, and we have this amazing book that we're going to be talking about that she just has out. It's called You Have the Right to Talk to Aliens. So welcome to the show, Sev.
Thank you so much.
We were talking earlier, everybody. We look a lot alike in some ways, with the gray hair, the big smile, and we both have a lot of personality, right?
I don't call it gray though.
Oh, what do you call it?
I call it silver.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to do that from now on. Thank you. So you have moonlight and moon rays in your hair.
I am a moon child.
So talking about the moon, let's start out with your book. I like the first chapter, The Galactic Visitor. Is that where you want to jump in, or do you have another place you'd like to take off from?
That's a good point.
Okay.
Those are the first conscious memories that I have of ET contact. And that was when I was 10 years old. And that lasted for a couple of years. And I was visited so many times by this being in this spacecraft that I lost count how many times. And this big spacecraft would come, and I would be standing underneath it. Each time it would come from a different direction, and it would land, and then this being would come out and walk down the stairs to me. And the being was similar to a human male, and there was some slight differences. I do remember that the ears were a little different. They were more almond shaped, and he had dark hair. And every time I saw him, I was so happy. It was like seeing a brother. And he was just checking up on me, just making sure I was okay. And this went on for a couple of years until I was 12. And then there was a final meeting. And this time it was different, because this time I was with a group of children, and I had never been with other children before. It was always just him and I. And we were standing there together. I did not look into the faces of these kids, but we were all looking at the spacecraft as it was going away. And we all instinctively knew, oh, he's leaving, and we were sad, and we didn't know when we were going to see him again. And we knew that we had something to do. There was something we were supposed to do. And at that age, when I came to, I would come to, and then I would get dressed, and then I would have to go to 5th grade. And I never told anybody. I could have told my parents. My parents were very open and believers, but I just didn't. And I just recently came out because for decades I hid all of this. I really wasn't sure if this was real or if I was dreaming it. And what happened here, I live on the inner banks of North Carolina. I moved here 2 years ago from Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C. And the second night that we were here, I came in contact with a gray. And then 9 days later, I came in contact with another gray. And they burned 2 red X marks into my back, into my tush. The first red X was on my left cheek, and the second red X 9 days later was on my right cheek. And with the second X, I have very, very conscious memories. And those X's made me realize that these were not dreams. It wasn't until those X's. And that's one of the reasons I think I was branded like that, was I needed something really serious and severe to really believe it.
Yeah, so it's in the 3rd dimension. It's like you can't run from it, you can't hide it, you can't deny it, right? It's like...
Right. It's 3D proof.
Right.
And the memory that I have, well, first I'll tell you how I found the first X. It was the second morning here, and I was in the kitchen unpacking the dishes. And as I was standing there, I felt something bite my butt, and it hurt. So I yelled over to my then boyfriend, Patrick, I think something bit my butt. Will you look at it? And he said, yeah. So I walk over to the living room, and I'm giggling. I think this is funny. Right. And I bend over, and he's looking, and there's just silence. He's not saying anything. And I'm waiting, and I'm getting nervous. And I said, well, is there a bug bite? And he goes, yeah, there's a bug bite, and there's also a red X. And I knew right away, I knew it was the Greys. And back then, I had a very different opinion about the Greys because I had a very different opinion about myself and the world. Back then, I chose to view the world through the lens of victimization. I had been in a couple of abusive relationships, and I just played the victim, and I played it beautifully. So I just assumed that the Greys were victimizing and abusing me too. So I was stunned. He took a picture of the X that you just showed on the back of my book, and I was speechless, and so was he. And he is a very, very logical man, and he couldn't explain it. And I just said, okay, you know what? We're just going to forget about this. Just pretend like it never happened.
I'll deal with that tomorrow, right?
Oh, yeah, or never.
Or never.
Just like all the weird things that have happened to me in my life. But then 9 days later, I came to in my bedroom, and with the conscious memory that I was lying on a table, I was on my side, and I couldn't move my arms or my legs. I felt paralyzed, and I could sense that there was something behind me. And it just so happened that I could turn my head and my neck. So I did, and I looked behind me, and there was a Grey, just inches from my back, doing something to my back. And we locked eyes. We looked into each other's eyes for several seconds. And I describe in the book, it was like looking into two pools of black oil. And there was no telepathic communication. I've been in contact with the Greys before, and there was always telepathic communication. This time there was nothing. And I'm looking into his eyes, and I am scared to death. And I turn back around, and then ding, my eyes pop open. I'm in my room.
And
so
what year was this, Lee? Had Lee Bodge ask what year was this when this was happening?
This was 2017.
Oh, pretty current.
Yeah. And my then boyfriend almost always woke up before I did, but this time I woke up first, and I went downstairs, and I'm very nervous, and I'm waiting for him to wake up because I have to ask him for another hiney inspection, because I'm like, oh my God, what if this one put another X on me? And a part of me really didn't want to know, because I didn't know how I was going to handle that.
Right.
So he comes downstairs, and I tell him everything I remembered. There was one other thing that was unusual about my memory, because I had never known this before, but I knew that that room that I was in was on the moon. I just knew it. So I tell him my story, and I'm like, will you look at my butt? And he looks, and there's just silence again. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, well, and he goes, yeah, there's another one, just like the first one.
And you kind of sensed it, right? But you didn't want to.
No, it was overwhelming. And it's hard to describe what utter confusion is like, because my reality and my world completely flipped. And I had to admit that the aliens were real. And I got really scared because, like I said, I thought that the Greys were bad, and I thought they were toying with me. I thought they were messing with me. I don't believe that anymore.
How long did it take you to transition from that?
To go from fear to love?
Yes.
Let's see, that was in September. About 7 or 8 months.
Oh, that's good. You worked hard.
I did work hard.
You did.
I got some help, though. For the first time in my life, I needed help. So after the second X, my boyfriend's like, what can I do for you? Because I started to cry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know what you can do for me. And he was stunned too.
Right. Well, it's out of control, right? It's out of control.
It's just, you, burned into me. They were burned into me. And so for the next couple of days, I walked around the house. I sat on the couch. I sat on my car seat. I sat on the outdoor furniture, trying to figure out, was there anything that could leave a mark like that on me? And there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing. Even my boyfriend, the very logical boyfriend, couldn't find anything. So a few months later, one of my best friends who lives on Maui, Elizabeth, she called me and she said, I suggest you watch the movie Unacknowledged by Dr. Stephen Greer. So one day when Patrick was out working on the boat, I watched it in the afternoon, and that lit a fire under me. That got me going. It was like I got an activation through that.
Right.
movie. And I got up and I went to my computer and I said to myself, I have to find somebody to help me, but I have no idea who to go to. And I heard in my head, MUFON.
Oh.
So I Googled MUFON, and there I found Kathleen Martin.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Director of Experiential Research and the niece of Betty and Barney Hill,
Yes.
the most famous abduction story. And she's a very well-known speaker and researcher.
Mm-hmm.
And I emailed her and sent her a picture of the X. And within 2 or 3 days, she emailed back and she said, I would love to talk with you. And I was so delighted. I was so happy. I'm like, she's going to help me. I'm going to find out what's going on.
Everything's going to be okay, right?
Yes, yes. Kathleen Martin's going to save me. And we Skyped for an hour and a half, and she validated everything for me. And that conversation with Kathy changed my life. And I asked her, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? They've been giving me information. I have information. I see myself in my mind's eye. I see myself standing on stage and talking. Mm-hmm. And she said, Sev, I can't tell you what to do. You have to figure that out on your own. So after the conversation, I thought, okay, I'm going to do nothing. Just going to do absolutely nothing. Just get into the flow and see what happens. And then a couple months later, I woke up and I declared I'm writing a book. And I did. And I felt very vulnerable. But there was something inside me that had to do it.
Yeah.
I've been hiding it for decades, afraid of what people were going to think of me. But all of a sudden, I just had to fight through that fear. Mm-hmm. And it was the best thing I've ever done.
It is. It's really getting to face yourself, right? And all your fears and doing it anyway.
Yeah. And it happened at a very pivotal time in my life. Mm-hmm. I had started on this journey of authenticity. I decided I wanted to be the most authentic version of myself I could possibly be. Mm-hmm. Because I do believe that when you are your true self, your authentic self, you are the best version of yourself. Mm-hmm. And you're the happiest and the most fulfilled and peaceful. And not only the best for myself, but then I'm the best for the planet and for my friends, my family.
Right, and for humanity.
Yeah. And that's when these X's came. Mm-hmm. I did not know that my personal path of authenticity would include the ETs. That was the biggest fear in my life, the ETs. And I had to face it because I have got to walk this path of authenticity, and I can't do it unless I break down this barrier of ETs. And writing that book broke down that barrier.
Mm-hmm. And so when you say it helped you put into words a very personal journey, that it takes courage to put that out to humanity, because you don't know how they're going to receive it, No,
I didn't. And I'm very grateful that it's been received very well.
It has.
I'm just so grateful for that. 2 weeks after it debuted on Amazon, I got an email from AlienCon in Baltimore, which is affiliated with Ancient Aliens. And It's congratulations, you're a speaker at AlienCon in Baltimore. And I lived in Baltimore for 20 years, and I just found it so perfect that I would be coming out in Baltimore, where I have friends and family and where I've had lots of ET contact. And I stood on that stage, and to a room full of strangers, I told my deepest, darkest secrets. And it was fantastic.
You spoke your truth, and it was well received, you know?
Yeah, that was life-changing. And it was then that I realized how many experiencers there are. So many people came up to me and told me their stories. And it was then that I realized that's one of my missions, is to help experiencers. Anyone who comes out is brave. We're not crazy. What we're doing is we're helping fight this pervasive element of fear that exists on Earth. Due to fear to think freely, that is why so many people refuse to believe the ET reality. I just started a blog, actually. I call it the Light Age because I believe we're in the Light Age. I believe the boundaries between religion and spirituality and ETs is being blurred because we're shining a light into these dark secrets and the dark places that we don't want to go to. And it's a wonderful thing.
It is.
We're in disclosure right now.
Well, and by you having the courage to tell your story, it opens the door for everyone else to tell their story. And it's like a huge domino effect. It's you know, where it's not where it's all at once, but it's this very authentic, like you're saying, weave of all these people all over the planet that are coming in and talking about it. So it's becoming more mainstream, accepted.
It is. We still have a bit of way to go, but it's definitely not as bad as it was a few years ago. There is one element to all of this disclosure and all the TV shows and the movies and all of that, which is very unfortunate. And like I said, there's the pervasive energy of fear on this planet. So often for anything to be successful and to make money, it has to be fear-based. And that is my fight. That it does, you know, talking to ETs, communicating with ETs does not have to be scary. You don't have to like lose your appetite and get all skinny and start to shake. And just like, there is a very popular TV show right now. I'm not going to say the name. I watched the first season of it, but I just can't bring myself to watch the second season because it just depicts experiencers as going crazy and nutso, and I don't like it.
So there's, you think there's some conditioning put in there, right? To keep it going, keep that story going, and it's just not the truth. It's far from the truth.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important for me to help experiencers. I offer free guidance on my website, planetsev.com. I have a free forum for experiencers called ET Encounters, where they can contact me in private and tell me their story, and I'll help them. I'll help them understand why it happened, because ET contact does not happen by accident. There is a good reason, and it can change your life for the better.
Yeah, and actually get you in touch with another aspect of yourself, right, that you maybe didn't have permission.
Yes, our interdimensional selves.
Right.
There's so much more to us than just this 3D body, and the communication that we can have with other beings in other dimensions and other worlds. I see that there's a question here from Linda.
Yeah, I was just...
did I ever think to set up a camera in my bedroom? Yes, I did. And oh my gosh, this is the first time I'm publicly announcing this. I'm making a first-time public announcement.
Drum roll.
That my boyfriend, Patrick, who is in the book, he and I split at the end of December. We broke up in the end of December. And it had nothing to do with the ET thing. Anyway, when we were together, I said I wanted to set a camera up in the bedroom. Oh, no, I didn't hear you.
I haven't said anything. I'm listening.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. And he didn't want to. But now he's not in there, and now I am thinking of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know much about cameras. I don't know. I guess I would just get a night camera. Would we just get a simple night camera and set that up?
You know, I've been told that maybe an infrared camera, because they move much faster, and infrared might be fun to try, you know.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Maybe some of our listeners know, or they can contact you after the show. But I always wanted to put up, from what I've been told, an infrared cameras where you can find them. So interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And back for part 2. All right. And
a
so
nanny cam. I don't know, a nanny cam capture ET.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, so but I'm sure you get contacted during the day too, not just in the evening.
Oh yes, I've a couple of months ago, while I was sitting on the couch, wide awake in the middle of the afternoon, these 2 beings came in, and I call them the blue beings, and communicated with me, and they gave me a lot of information, and I'm still in contact with them. And they gave me information about Tesla and Disney and Tchaikovsky, and those 3 men have been my favorite ever since I was a little girl. And they also gave me information about DNA activation. So on my YouTube channel, Alien Spirit TV, I started a 10-part series about ascension and activating your DNA based on the information that they gave me, that we have these packets of energy in our body, and when these packets are activated, they're encoded to activate different parts of our DNA that do not exist in 3D. And what activates these energy packets is simply awareness.
So consciousness plays a part in this.
Yes, very much so. Conscious awareness is what activates the other dimensional parts of your DNA.
Wow. And do you think we all have it, or do
yes?
You think,
I think we all have it. I believe that we all have ET DNA in us. I believe we all have, some of us more than others, but it is in all of us. We can all be activated, and we can all use the other strands of our DNA that we're not even aware of.
And do you think that would be like some of the abilities that we have that we haven't had access to or use, like psychic abilities or healing abilities?
They'll be amplified, yes. And as they are amplified, also your perspective changes. And when your perspective changes when you go from a lower perspective to a higher perspective, life as a human just gets easier.
Yeah, it gets lighter and brighter, right? And your vibration changes.
Down in just the 3D crap that doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, it's so heavy.
Look at, so, and you're able to recognize that. Right.
And so you get to lift up. Linda Burton asks, what did the blue beings look like, if you could describe them?
Okay. Yeah. Well, they were very tall, and I really can't draw them because they were made out of light, and there were different shades of blue, and every now and then there would be this spring green light that would just show up very quickly in their face. And it was like, it's like looking through a kaleidoscope that's always changing, and they would just have these waves of different blue and silver light just constantly moving and changing and moving and changing and moving and changing. They did have a face, and it had 2 eyes and a nose and a mouth and ears. It was a little more slanted than ours, and actually it kind of resembled a little bit the faces in the movie Avatar.
Oh, Mm-hmm.
That's why I wonder if his last name is Cameron. I can't remember his first name.
Right. I can't
I
remember
really
either.
wonder if he's in touch with ETs.
Sure.
Like George Lucas and many others. Have they really been in touch with ETs and they're just not admitting it?
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? It just kind of falls right in with the territory they're exploring, that's for sure, or presenting.
Yeah.
You have to have an open or more open mind, right? And expanded consciousness in order to work in that field.
Right, which most creative types do.
Mm-hmm.
So the information the blue beings gave me about Tesla, Disney, and Tchaikovsky, they said that Tesla was communicating with them. I think we all kind of know that Tesla was communicating with ETs.
Right.
And that so was Disney, and so was Tchaikovsky, and that Disney and Tesla actually met.
Oh my goodness. Huh.
When you listen to Tchaikovsky, it's written in such a way that it activates codes inside of you that help you fulfill your potential.
I love that. I never listened to that. I always listen to Mozart.
Tchaikovsky's been my favorite since I was a little girl, and it is no accident that Disney is one of Disney's most famous movies, Fantasia.
I love that.
It's filled with Tchaikovsky music.
Yeah, I'll have to listen to it more.
An activator.
Yeah, and I love that.
For children, I mean, he was activating kids and adults.
Right. Way ahead of his time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you're ahead of your time being here on the earth? Are you more like a futurist in some way?
I do believe my parents were way ahead of their time, ahead of their time. So maybe as their progeny, maybe. I never really think of myself that way. No one's ever asked me that before. I never even thought of it.
Do you feel like you fit in when you were a child, or were you different than all those around you?
No. I always had a lot of friends, but I learned at a very young age to keep I knew things about people, and when I was little, I would tell people, well, you know, so-and-so is like this, or so-and-so thinks this, and my friends would go, well, how the heck do you know that? Why would you know that? And that's when I learned to just shut up and just keep quiet. Yeah.
Did you feel like you knew as much as your teachers, right? Probably in 6th grade, you could get up and teach the class.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that, but I was definitely hiding the interdimensional communication that I was having. And also my ability just to know information about people by reading their energy and just by picking up the energy that floats around us. This is something all of us can do. There's absolutely nothing special about me. All of us can do this. It's just that some of us want to do it, and some of us don't even know that we can do it.
Right. And it's a part of your destiny or mission to be here, you know?
Yeah, I do.
So Lee asked, perhaps the blue beings are a manifestation of quantum information, a holographic image projected from their plane of existence to ours in real time.
Yes. Yeah, right on. That was well written.
Yeah.
Yep. Because they are so unsolid, and because they are just light, and whenever they show up, they just show up as light beings.
Yeah.
One experience that I did have with them was that they exuded so much love. The love that I felt from them was unlike any love I have ever felt from a human being, even my mother. It was more intense than the love of a mother.
Yeah, I had that experience in the near-death experience when it's more love than, and I'm a fierce mom, but it was more love than humanly possible, you know. It's pretty amazing that gets to flow through your body. You're like, you glow from the inside with that much love. You're gonna like pop.
I don't know about your near-death experience. I guess it's very public. You talk about it.
Yeah. So, but that's a whole nother story. It's all about you this evening.
Well, I would like to hear your near-death experience. Did you see ETs?
Yes, I did. When I died, I had collapsed lungs and went on a spaceship for the first time that I knew of. And there I met a group of beings, tall whites, big shoulders, faceless, and they were called the Guardian and the Council. And then I went all over the place with them. They taught me through experiences.
Oh gosh, like I have like tingling all through my body. So was this new for you, or had you been a believer?
Are you kidding? I was a single mom with 3 kids. I didn't have time for this.
Oh,
so I can relate a lot to you. When I read your book, I'm thinking, oh yeah, you know, and probably a lot of our listeners, I mean, you know, they've had extraordinary experiences as well. And we're all in this together wherever we go, right? We're in this together in the connection with each other, because each time we expand our hearts, we get bigger, and we need that here.
Yeah, we all radiate our energy through each other.
I would like to talk a little bit about the hybridization program. Is that something that you're interested in, or we'll kind of switch over to that a little bit?
Sure. The first time I was given information about it was when I was living in Baltimore. And I was shown a baby in a tube. This was, what year was this? Can't remember the year. It was a few years ago, the baby in a tube. And I think it was 2013. And I was in this room, this dark room, and there was this tube. I'm standing in front of this tube. The tube's about as wide as I am. I actually have a drawing of it in my book, and also on my Facebook page, on my website, also on my YouTube channel. And the tube was about as wide as I am, and it was a little bit taller. And floating in this tube was a baby. And it was in a liquid, and the baby's eyes were open. And it had the bluest eyes I have ever seen in my life. And because of the way its leg was situated, I couldn't see if it was male or female, but I knew that it was male. And then once again, I felt something behind me, so I turned. Yeah, that's it. So I turned around, and there were 3 grays standing behind me, medium and short. And back then, I had no idea that there were different sizes of grays. And they were really nice. I turned around to them, and they telepathically said to me, take your time, no hurry, we'll just hang out back here until you're done. I was so confused. And I turned back, and I look at this baby, and I felt nothing for it, nothing. I get more feeling looking from a bouquet of flowers than I did looking at this baby. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Why are they giving me all this time to look at this baby? I don't understand what this baby is. And then I popped back, and I never talked about it. But it's something I could never, ever forget until I went to Roswell, and that was in 2016. And that whole thing, me ending up in Roswell was a very unusual string of events. It just happened up out of the blue very quickly. And my boyfriend took me to Roswell. First, we went to White Sands. I can talk about White Sands. Have you ever been to White Sands?
I haven't, and to Roswell. So, yeah, let's hear about White Sands.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So at the time, Patrick was in his last year of work before he took an early retirement. He was working for, he was a civilian working for the Navy, and he was living for 1 year on the island of Kauai in Hawaii. So I flew back and forth from Capitol Hill to Kauai for a year. And he called me and he said, I have to go to White Sands for work at the missile range. Why don't you meet me over there, and then I will drive you to Roswell. And I was like, oh my God, to Roswell. I've known about it ever since I was a little girl. So first he takes me to White Sands. You know, they have literally the white sands that you can go sledding on. So we did that. That was gorgeous. It was amazing. It's like being on another planet. Then he took me to the missile range.
Yeah, oh, I never got to do that. So that's, what was that like?
I never want to go back.
Yeah.
All the hair on my body stood up straight. It's at the base of a big black mountain. I got feeling that there were things and rooms and offices and tunnels under the ground. I got a really bad feeling. I did not want to be there at all, but he wanted to show it to me. So we go through the museum. They have an indoor museum, and they also have an outdoor museum where they show all the different missiles that we have used. And everything is tall and pointy, tall and pointy, tall and pointy, except for this one thing, which is round and looked exactly like a UFO. So I walk up to it, and there was a plaque next to it saying that this was used to release a weather balloon. And it was not 1947. I don't remember the year, but it was after that. And I'm looking at that, and I'm like, oh, gosh, look at this. This is crazy. This is some kind of governmental effort to just try and explain away Roswell.
Right.
And so we go inside to the museum, and I'm just trying to get through it as quickly as I can. We finally leave, and as we're going through the gates, I said to him, I never want to come back here again. So we went to Roswell, and we spent the day at the museum, and it was really fun. And we had a hotel room there. So we go to the hotel room, it's nighttime, and we're both tired. And he goes into the bathroom, and I sit on the bed, and I'm flicking through the TV. And he comes out of the bathroom, and I stop the TV channel on a commercial. And he said something to me. And a couple minutes prior, as I was flicking through the channels, I had said to myself, I wish the show People of Earth would come on. Did you ever see that show?
No, I've never seen it.
It was produced by Conan O'Brien.
Oh, I love Conan O'Brien.
It was a really funny take on a group of experiencers, like what do you call it when a group gets together and supports each other?
Like a CE5 or a
well, like when AA, they get together and they have like
a support
meetings.
group.
Yeah, that's what it was.
A support
it was a
group.
support group. It was a funny take on a support group of experiencers, and I loved it. And it made me laugh. And it was only on for 2 seasons, and so when I'm flicking through the channels, I knew that I think it had just, the last show had aired, and I wasn't going to see it. It wasn't on. So, like I said, Patrick came out of the bathroom. I stopped the channel on a commercial. And then the next thing I know, People of Earth is on television. It just appeared. And I'm looking at it going, whoa, okay. So Patrick had never seen it. We watched it. We watched a couple episodes. He liked it. And then we went to sleep. Well, the next thing I remember, my eyes popped open, and the room was pitch black. I couldn't see anything. And I hear footsteps on the carpet. And then I feel Patrick getting into the bed. And I think to myself, what was Patrick doing sitting on the couch? Was it because of the aliens? And then I fall back to sleep. So I get up in the morning, and he's in the shower. And as I'm coming to, I'm thinking, why did I think he was sitting on the couch? He never gets up in the middle of the night and sits on the couch. Plus, I couldn't even see my hand in front of my face. And why did I think it was the aliens? And then all of a sudden, it was like this gushing download of information and a visual information where I see that I was talking to a group of Greys. It was a group of them, and they were giving me information about the Hybridization Program and why they picked certain people to be involved and what they're looking for, why they're doing it. And then they also were talking to me about something about a book that I was supposed to write. And what they said to me was what they're doing is they're hybridizing with human beings because their race has lost the ability to be sympathetic. They've lost the ability to be empathetic. And they realize that those qualities are very important if a race needs to continue.
Hmm.
And so it's like they're picking and choosing DNA out of us and creating these hybrids that are extremely loving, very, very loving.
Hmm.
And they're picking people who can express love easily. That's not the only criteria.
Mm-hmm.
They're also picking people who have some advanced paranormal abilities. But that's not the only criteria. They're also picking people who have been in a lineage of ET contact, you know, parent, grandparent, etc. There's various things. And I didn't know this information when I went to sleep that night. I had no idea about any of this. And then I wake up and I know all of this. Mm-hmm. So Patrick came out of the bathroom. I said, did you get up in the middle of the night? Yeah. Did you go sit on the couch? Yeah. I'm like, why'd you do that? And I saw he started to struggle. Ooh. And he said, I don't know how to explain this because I've never felt this before in my whole entire life. Like I said, he's very logical. Mm-hmm. He said, there was something in the room looking at us. Ooh. And I kept getting up trying to find it, but I couldn't see it. And it was so intense that I couldn't go to sleep. I just had to get up and sit on the couch. And I watched you just toss and turn and toss and turn and toss and turn. And then just as he was getting into the bed, that's when I plopped back into 3D reality. Mm-hmm. So that kind of messed us up for the rest of the trip. It really played head games with us. And like I said back then, I really thought the Greys were evil.
Right. And he couldn't protect you or him or anybody, you know, for him.
Right.
I could see that. Wow.
Yeah. And it kind of freaked him out a little bit too. So I thought to myself, well, once I get back to Capitol Hill, I'll be fine. So he went back to Hawaii. I went back to Capitol Hill, and I was not fine. I couldn't let it go. Mm-hmm. I needed answers. I wanted to know what I couldn't remember. I could remember some of it, but I wanted to know what was this book thing that I remember. It was very vague. I just wanted to know more. So I told a friend, and she told me about a regression therapist in West Virginia who specializes with experiencers. And so I went to her, and that gave me some more information. All my memories about my ET contact are conscious.
Yeah.
I only went to her just because I just needed to know a little bit more about what happened at Roswell.
Yeah, and to wrap your brain around it, you know, it takes some putting it together, and it's always nice to have a neutral party that you can do that with.
Mm-hmm. And Patrick sat in on my regression, and he took notes, and he said, I don't know what that was, but I know it was for real. Mm-hmm. Because you changed your voice and you changed your speaking patterns and you use words you've never used before.
Oh, during your sleep? No, that was during your...
Or in the hypnosis.
In the hypnosis. That's interesting. So do you think you're a part of them? Are they your family? Or do you feel, what's the connection there? Mm-hmm.
Not so much the Greys as my family, but the blue beings. Mm-hmm. And what they told me about the book was, at that time I was writing a book about how to fall in love with yourself, because that's really the secret. Mm-hmm. And they were telling me, don't write that book, write another one. The other one that you're going to write it's going to do a lot better. Write the other book. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what other book? And then now I know it's this book.
And it's a challenge to write, because you don't know how to write, and you sit down and it all just starts to come out, and then
I wrote it in 2 months.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
It just poured out of me. Mm-hmm. I just needed to get it out. I wasn't really concerned about what's the word? I wasn't concerned about how it was going to be received. It just had to come out.
Just to get the truth out, that's all.
Yeah.
Right. We have a couple questions. I'd like to go back for a minute.
Okay.
And Lee asked about seeing the infant in the tube. Do you think that was possibly seeing yourself as an infant? That's an interesting idea.
Well, because I knew it was a male, I do not believe that was me.
Okay. And do you feel like it was your child, though, or a part of you? Did you feel
at the time I didn't, but now I do. And recently, I've had an experience. There's only 2 other people that have had this kind of experience. If there's anyone else out there that has had the kind of experience I'm about to describe, I would love to hear from you. I even mentioned this to Kathy Martin. Kathy Martin, after she endorsed my book, we became friends, and she's a big supporter and a mentor to me. And she invited me to come spend a few days with her in her home in Florida in December, which was, oh my gosh, like a huge treat. And I told her about this experience and if she had heard about anything like this before, and she hadn't. So this is my experience. I've only heard about it from 2 other people. Okay.
We have 4.
Publicly, so I don't even know where to start.
We have 4 minutes before the break. So is that
okay?
And unless
okay, I can say.
Okay.
I was in a room. I was in this doctor's office type room. There's a nurse in there. There's a doctor standing beside me, and my job was to heal these ailing hybrid babies. I was to put my hands on them and heal them.
And how did you heal them? Just by your presence or by energetics? Or?
I put my hands on them, and there were 2 of them, and they were swaddled in a lot of cloth. And they were sick because they were coughing up blood. Oh my goodness. And so the second baby started rolling off the table, and when he did, I grabbed onto the cloth, and the cloth came off, and the body was eerie. It was super, super, super skinny. And so they had put all this, like swaddled it in all this cloth, I guess not to like freak me out. The heads were a little bit bigger than normal, but it was those really, really skinny bodies. And so if there's anyone that has had any experiences where they too are healing sick hybrid babies, I would love to hear from you.
Yes, please. I just posted your website there that they can get and connect with you, and they can also connect with you here on Facebook as well.
Yes, thank you. And right now I'm going to
So do you think that they needed your love? Is that what you were doing? Just your presence, the love part? With the hybrids?
Okay, I'm sorry I paused because I was hearing double again.
Oh.
Yes, I believe that, yes, that's what it was. It was love. I don't think those kids were mine. I don't feel like they were mine. But there's a part of me somewhere out there in the cosmos healing these ailing hybrid babies. But my question is, are human beings now involved in the hybridization? Are human beings doing it separate from the aliens? Are the ETs and the human beings working together? I would think that the ETs are so advanced that when they make a hybrid baby, it's not going to be spitting up blood. So are the humans getting involved and they're not quite as advanced, so they're not doing it right? You know, I have all these questions.
Right,
you know
right. I mean? But and either way, it's working together, right? It's working where some of, you know, just by being, I would think by being humans, that some of us is going to rub off on them too, whether they like it or not, and then part of them is going to rub off on us. We want to always make it black and white. Well, maybe it's, you know, like a synergy effect from being there, you know, like with the new science where you just by viewing it, you change something.
That's very possible. But I also know that human nature tends to get kind of ugly and possessive. And so I'm not 100% convinced that if humans and aliens are working together, it's really for the benefit of the world. You know, whenever there's a human involved in something, I'm always kind of thinking, okay, well, what does this human want out of it? Is the human involved in this process because they want to use these hybrids for nefarious reasons? So I'm not clear on what's going on.
Yeah. Well, that's something to keep keep a tap on, and all of our listeners here, if you have any information, let's open this door up and take a look at it, shall we? We're right now ready for break. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Sev. We'll be right back. Everyone stay where you are. We'll be right back at 6:04, so don't go anywhere. And we're going to talk about Sasquatch when we get back. Okay, Sev?
Okay.
Thank you. And so let's go here. And here. We're going to talk about Sasquatch when we get back. We're getting a double. Okay, so let's see here. Thank you.
Out when they gamble and lose. You could ignore the needs of the poor for healthcare and education. Your media would appear free, but would secretly be controlled by one person and his family. You could wiretap phones. You could torture foreign prisoners. You could have rigged elections. You could lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prisons with one particular racial group, and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests.
Tune in Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time for Liberation Nation with Deacon John, where America comes to hear the truth.
I know this is hard for you Americans to imagine, but please try.
Ohio Politics will be on from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Studio A. Mark Steiner will have guests on that will discuss many important topics, including the state of the world today. However, much of the show will be dedicated to the writings of Edward Albert Meyer. Let me read a short passage from one of his writings. Love is the highest principle of creation, and through it, everything exists in absolute logic. All of nature in its indescribable splendor is nothing but the love of creation, which is expressed visibly. The love of creation is everywhere, because without it, nothing at all would be able to exist. Please join Mark on Ohio Politics from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Studio A.
It is no secret that the so-called mainstream media is best described as controlled propaganda. Countless news stories are either totally ignored or spun with half-truths, and because of this, essential facts and vital information are often compromised. Join Dr. Ott every Friday night on Studio B at 10 p.m. Eastern and learn why The Story Behind the Story was nominated for a Peabody Award in its second year of producing unparalleled broadcasting excellence in 1997. That is, if you really care about learning the truth.
Transcending time and space, let us take you to the place inside your mind where thoughts divide and mysteries unwind. Join us every Monday evening right here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And you will catch the Fenton Perspective with our great host, Lorian Fenton. Come listen in as she shares her amazing stories from the past to present, along with all of her guest secrets to the future. That's the Fenton Perspective every Monday evening right here from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, only on Revolution Radio. Oh, and you don't need to expect us. We're already here. That is.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and FreedomSlips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, FreedomSlips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Hello and welcome back, everyone, for part 2 of the Cosmic Oracle Show. This is your host, Barbara Jean Lindsey, and we have with us this evening, we have SEV TOK. SEV TOK. It's beautiful. We have her as our wonderful guest, and we've been talking about so many divergent topics. Wow, we've been like kind of all over the galaxy and back again. So we're going to ground it a little and start talking about Sasquatch. But before we do, I do just want to thank you for being generous and giving donations to Revolution Radio and keeping us on the air. We can't be here without you. So please give $1, $5, $10. Go to freedomslips.com. That's freedomslips.com and give whatever you can. We really appreciate it and thank you in advance. So SEV TOK is back. She's our guest this evening. She wrote an amazing book, You Have the Right to Talk to Aliens, SEV TOK. And so welcome back to the show. And let's begin with a little Sasquatch talk, because you know that's dear to my heart. So
okay. So where I live, Bigfoot lives. And shortly after I got here, a neighbor told me about a gentleman who lives here, and he's lived here for a while. His family's lived here for a while, named Bigfoot Benny. Huh. And so Bigfoot Benny has seen Bigfoot. So
wow.
I called Bigfoot Benny and I said, I would love to meet you.
Yeah.
And he told me the stories of the Bigfoot being in his yard, Bigfoot eating pears from his tree, the sounds that they make. He would walk through the woods and he would see the stacked sticks. There was an abandoned car in the woods, and there was stacked sticks in the abandoned car. Story after story, and then you showed me the pictures of the footprints, baby footprints and big footprints, and it's so unusual how they're walking along, and all of a sudden they just disappear. It's like they just go up into the sky. Like right. You don't see the footprints just leading off into the woods. They just disappear. You see a few footprints and no more. And he was supposed to take me on a Bigfoot excursion, but we had to wait for the weather to be good. And then he called me up one day and he said, well, they logged the woods and where the Bigfoot were living. So I don't know where they went. He says, when I know where they went, I'll call you and then I'll take you back out there.
Oh, my God.
And for those of us who, yes, it is sad. And for those of us who know about Bigfoot, we've heard the theories that they're these interdimensional, multidimensional beings, and they're often in places where there's a lot of UFO, ET activity.
Right,
so you know more than I do about Bigfoot. And then I saw Bigfoot in August of this year.
Well, that's what we want to hear. Let's hear that, because I'm excited about that for you.
I was in the car driving, and it was a narrow country road, and there were just a couple cars way up in front of me, no one behind me. And about 100 feet in front of me, something ran across the road, something that I have never seen before in my life. And I'm like, what the hell is that? It was pitch black, had long hair, and it was not a dog. And I'm like, okay, it's got to be a bear, because I live in bear country. I'm like, that is not a bear. That's a bear. That is a deformed bear. And as it ran across on all fours. However, its front legs didn't bend. It looked like a gorilla running across the road. Its front legs didn't bend. Its back was sloped down, and its head didn't extend beyond its front legs, you know, like a dog's does. It was settled in, way in between its front legs. And as it ran across the road, its front legs just, it like walked across without bending. There were no elbows.
Oh,
and it ran across really fast.
Wow.
And then when I got to where it was, I looked into the woods and I didn't see anything. It didn't even occur to me that that would be Bigfoot.
Right.
I wasn't even thinking that. I'm like, I just saw some kind of weird, deformed bear.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of weeks later, Bigfoot Benny called me just to see how I'm doing. And he said, you know, a friend of mine saw Bigfoot. I'm like, really? What did he see? And he described exactly what I saw.
Confirmation.
Exactly. And I said, well, why is it running across the street in the middle of the day? He goes, I don't know. I have a theory. It could be in heat. Because it coincided in about the time that deer go into heat. Is that the right word, heat? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes.
And he goes, you know, and when guys go into heat, they do all kinds of things they wouldn't normally do. So it probably just had to get across the road to the other female Bigfoot. And I'm like, okay, you know, that kind of makes sense. That kind of makes sense.
Wow, but you got to see. I've never seen one. The way they come to me is through smell, and so I thought I was crazy in that, you know, that. And then when I went to the conferences and started talking to other people, and that's what's so wonderful about going to conferences is that you get to exchange information, and there were several people there who had, that's how they see them as well. They don't see them as, but they smell them. I thought that was interesting.
You smell them while you're outside or while you're sitting in your house?
They come in my front seat while I'm driving. Is their favorite place to come. And
they talk to you?
Yes. Yeah.
What are they saying?
Well, you know, they turned on my radio. I turned on my radio. He said, turn on the radio. So, and I turned on the radio, and this is a funny story, but it's really true. And what came on was, Wham, who's the one in Wham? One of the singers that sings, I am your father figure. I swear to God.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that's how he wanted to let me know that's what he represented to me, was
a
father figure, which was, and we laughed so hard because they like to joke and tease, you know, and I just thought it was the funniest thing. And George Michael, that's who it was. George Michael's song came on. And so whenever I miss him or something now and I want to talk with them, then I put on that song. And sometimes they come in and sometimes they don't. But that, and I talked with someone else at the conference, and they also, that's how their Bigfoot comes, Sasquatch comes, is in their front seat in their car as well.
Really?
Yeah. So it's always really good confirmation, because you think that, you know, you do think that maybe you're a little out there. So,
yeah.
And, you know, with my family, they could accept the UFO thing after a while. It's been 30 years since my coming out, right? And it's 30 years of them saying, okay, you're a little bit touched. But then to talk about Sasquatch, it's like over the top. It's really funny that they could then accept the UFO part, but they had more difficulty with the Sasquatch part. So it's interesting. So
one thing I was doing before I saw it was I was trying to communicate with it telepathically, and I was just sending out messages of, I want to see you, I love you, I'm not going to hurt you, let me see you.
Right.
That was something that I was doing.
That makes a difference.
I don't know very much about them.
There's so
do you
much.
think they are intimately tied to Greys or to ETs?
I think so. You know, I never had that correlation before until I was a speaker at Stargate conference in 2018, Stargate to the Cosmos conference. And I had someone walk by me and say, there's a huge Sasquatch standing right behind you. And I had three people that day, 3 different people say that to me. And I didn't know anything about Sasquatch at all. And I never had where they group it together, where they're interdimensional like that, where there is a definite ET and Sasquatch, relationship. So it's interesting. So, so let's talk about your relationships now. One of the stories in your book is I thought was really intriguing. I mean, we talked about X marks the spot, right? Twice.
Yeah.
What about the sliced part? If you don't mind.
Yeah. That happened on Capitol Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I have a picture of it in my book.
Yeah, I'm going to show it.
It's not really, if it was in color, you'd be able to see it much better. But there was a rectangular chunk of skin sliced out of my back. And you can literally see 4 slice marks, 4 straight slice marks taken out of my back. I didn't even feel it. So one morning I'm having coffee in the, I'm having coffee with Patrick. This is on Capitol Hill. And I bent over and he said, "Oh, your back is bleeding." And I go, "What?" And I said, "Take a picture." And he took a picture and I was stunned. I'm like, "Oh my God, do you see that?" He goes, "Yeah, what?" And I go, "Do you see 4 slice marks?" He goes, "Yeah." And I'm looking at it, I was stunned. I didn't even feel it. How can you not feel that? How can you not feel that? And it was bleeding. It had just happened.
Wow.
It was kind of a messy job. Really, when you look at it. I guess they were in a hurry or something.
So do you think have you ever been checked for implants or anything like that?
I haven't. I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
I do have like this little nodule thing on my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't know what that is. But I have not been checked.
Yeah. I was checked for the first time at the UFO Con conference, and it's a tripped out thing when you sit there and it's like, and they go all over everything, and he has all this box of all these tools and yeah, you
So
get
do you have one?
I do.
Yeah.
The main one is in the 6th chakra. A huge one. 6th? Yeah, and that's, I'm a psychic. That's what I do for a living since.
Your implant is right here in your third eye?
Yes.
What do you mean? So it's like sitting in between your eyebrows?
That's what he's thought. So he's gonna send me all the paperwork on it. I'll give you his information. I'm gonna have him on the show. So
can you feel it?
I can't feel it at all. Nothing. I always think.
Then how did he know?
Well, he has all these machines that he tests everything with. All these different kinds of different machines, and it shows it on on an energy level. He has a Geiger counter. He has all kinds of different tools. I don't know what they are. Probably most of our listeners would know, but I didn't. But he was very thorough, and it was really interesting. And a lot were in my teeth themselves, which was interesting.
I've always teeth?
Yeah, in my teeth. I always had a lot of trouble with my teeth, and so I said, "Can you check my teeth?" And he did, and there was a lot of he saw a lot of something there. I don't know what, but anyway, so it might be fun to try it. I'll hook you up with them, and I'll hook our listeners up, because it's again, it's another tool that we can use, right? Because we're all explorers here. It's wide open. We're all pioneers in this. And what you get to bring to the table are your personal stories, and we need that now as a foundation to explore.
Yeah, thank you. And also, one of my messages is that these ET experiences that we have, we filter them through our belief systems. Like I said a couple of years ago, I thought the Greys were evil and up to no good. And that was because I was looking at life through the lens of victimization.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I've been doing a lot of deep introspection. It's what I do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to get rid of that victim vibe. I just really wanted to eliminate it. It was not serving me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did, that's when I realized that the grays were not hurting me. They were not teasing me. They were not toying with me. They were helping me.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that there was nothing to be afraid of. And they were in contact with me because of love, of making sure that I was okay. And also, I have agreed on a higher level, my higher self
Mm-hmm.
has agreed to have these experiences and to talk about it.
Right.
This is why I rarely use the word abduction,
Mm-hmm.
because to me, abduction implies something against your will. And I really do believe that our higher selves call the shots, and that through our higher selves, we agree to all of this.
Yeah, yeah. And so, and that took you quite a while to come to that conclusion,
A
too.
long time. Yeah,
Mhm.
decades and
I
decades.
bet it surprises you, right?
Yeah. I'm so glad I finally came to this realization.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that I really want to do is I want to help experiencers not go through the agony and the drama and the trauma that I went through.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do that. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, and so so in this work you got to know about you, and that's part of this work, right? The more you can know about yourself, can you talk about that? It's the more you can, your own personal empowerment through this.
Absolutely. Living the most authentic version of myself that I can possibly express.
Mm-hmm.
That is the secret to manifestation and to peace and to fulfillment. And that is what these ETs are teaching me and have taught me. But you don't have to have an ET experience to decide to express the most authentic version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That just happened to be my experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I do help my clients express their authenticity. I do soul sessions. I do soul purpose readings. And I offer free help to experiencers. And for experiencers that want to delve a little bit deeper, I offer soul readings, soul purpose readings for experiencers, but through the lens of their experience. So I have soul purpose readings for people who don't have ET contact and soul purpose readings for people who do have ET contact. And in these readings, I can hear, feel, and see information, just like we all can, about why you're here and your purpose and how you can fulfill your purpose if you want to. What some past lives are that help explain something that you're going through right now. Mm-hmm. And also we uncover what some mental blocks are that are just preventing you from success or from progress, and how you can eliminate them or work around them. And so these readings really provide a blueprint for you to follow, to learn how you are in control of manifesting your life to your standards.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Would you want to do a reading? Can you do a reading on air, or is it something that you do on Skype or Zoom, or do you need preparation first, or can you just go into it, or would you want to, or?
Well, they're very, very, very private.
Mm-hmm.
The information that comes up is very private. I do them in person, and I also do them through Zoom and Skype and FaceTime.
Mm-hmm.
I really, because they're so private, I really don't like doing them publicly.
Okay, that's perfectly perfect.
They're intense and they go really deep.
Right.
But nothing to be afraid of, and the whole point of it is for you to leave the session feeling excited and exuberant and like psyched and like hyped about your life and who you are and all your possibilities and potentials.
Right. Letting go of that doesn't serve you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Marie writes that she'd love to do a reading for sure.
Oh, thank you, Marie. I'm so grateful. And yeah, you can just email me, and then we can set up a time to do that. And thank you.
Fantastic. And then Eric Mitchell, we're going to have him on the show coming up, and he says helping and empowering people like us is a powerful thing towards the future.
It sure is. And that's what we're doing. Like I explained, I'm calling what we're in right now the light age, because there's so much illumination, and it is all exactly for what Eric said, for the future. We're all doing this for the future. And so also for the now. There really is no future, there is no past, there's only now, right? So if we start talking about it that way.
True. And so you feel like these ETs have helped. Do you want to call them ETs, or is that what you call them, or is there? Do you have
That's what I call them.
Okay, so
or just beings.
Or beings. Okay, so with this ET being this now years of contact, then how do you think it's helped you like manifest and become more of a spiritually enlightened person than you were before you had the awareness of having these experiences? So how do you think that helped cultivate you being able to be here, powerfully grounded and powered up, shall we say?
Because they've helped me view myself from a higher perspective. And when you view yourself from a higher perspective, you don't get caught up in the tiny little things that don't matter. And you're also turn your eyes inward. And instead of blaming people for things, instead of being the victim like I was, I look inward to understand, why did that trigger me? Why was I the victim? What lies am I telling myself? How am I delusional about how little power I have? So all of these realizations, that really serve to enlighten your self-power, come from viewing yourself, everything from a higher perspective. And that's what these ETs have done. They have allowed me to view myself, my reality, from a higher perspective, and that changed my life.
And so then as a humanity itself, they are working like one of us at a time, right? It takes a whole group of them to help us,
Yeah. There are millions, millions of us having ET contact.
Exactly.
And many don't even know it.
Right.
Because of this interdimensional, multidimensional fashion.
Yes.
And so the brain is saying this was a dream, but that was not a dream. That was a legitimate travel.
And so they're uplifting all of humanity in a way.
Yes. That's the purpose of all of this, is for us to realize that we have a role in this galactic neighborhood, and we're not alone. And once we open up to that, there's going to be so many changes on this planet, all benefit. At first, it's going to be chaos, and people are going to lose money, and people are going to get upset, and there could be death. But in the long term, it is definitely for our benefit.
Yeah. And we're all a part of it. And sometimes all we have to do is show up and take right action, right? Showing up sometimes, or getting past that part that we've been conditioned, is part of the work, is helping us get out of all that conditioning. Because we're so amazing. That's what I liked about your book too. We're just so amazing. We can't forget that ever,
That's right. Yeah, but we're conditioned to think that we're not.
Right. Right.
We're conditioned not to love ourselves, and we're conditioned to think, we're just these tiny little things that have no power.
Yep. Yep. And we do have another question here. What word or term does your awakened, accepting self use now instead of abduction?
Experience.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I like that a lot.
Thank you for asking that, Rose.
Yeah, that's a great question.
People know the word abduction. I might use it. I don't like using it. I try not to use it because it really implies powerlessness. I really am. And there are a lot of people who, when they have ET contact, their filters of fear and victimization tell the story that they're being abused and they're being abducted. And so I just really, this is self-work. This is a personal journey to look inside of yourself and why do you think you're the victim? Why do you act like a victim? Why do you think the world is stacked against you? Why do you think other people deserve things but you don't deserve things? Why do you think you'll never have the life that you want to have? Why? Go inside and try and understand why you think those things, because they're lies.
And then and then awareness is everything. Because then you have the choice to change it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. You have the choice to
I
change
love that
it.
word, choice. I love that word.
It's not an easy path, though.
No.
Self-introspection is for the brave.
Yeah.
Coming out about ET contact is for the brave. And there are a lot of brave people. A lot. Courageous
for sure. And so when you were talking about let's having peace on Earth so that we can join our galactic family, that sounds like a good plan, doesn't it? Or a mission to be on?
I think so. I see it as very beneficial. And when we do that, in my mind, we'll clean up the planet. We'll have free energy. It upsets me. There are people that can't afford electricity. That doesn't make sense to me. I think we should all have electricity at least. I think it should be a right to have electricity and to have water and to even have free internet. I think these are basic rights. It just makes me so sad that people have to sit in the dark because they can't afford electricity. And we all know that that is what Tesla was doing, providing free energy for all of us. And so these are the things that will happen when we hold hands with our galactic brothers and sisters. So that means there's going to be a collapse. There's going to be a collapse. Lots of rich people are going to get upset.
But isn't that a part of creation is destruction?
Yes.
And the chaos that comes with all of that. That's a good thing. Hey, birthing a baby is messy. It's not clean and neat.
No. I don't have any children in this life.
Well, you have lots of them, in a way.
Yeah,
if you're the galactic mother, come to help, expand people's consciousness and kind of like help them, give them hope and inspiration. That's a big job. You're doing a great job.
Doing that.
You truly are.
Well, so are you. Look at everything that you're doing. I mean, there's lots of us doing this.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
And I really, I haven't been out for very long. When I did Alien Con, it was November of 2018. So I've only been out a little over a year. And so much has happened. It's just snowballed. And because people are ready. This is a message that we're ready to hear.
It's true.
It's coming in little doses. It's coming as we can process it, as we can swallow it and process it and integrate it. But it is coming out faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, and you're a part of that, and a part of that breakdown of the old system so we can, like someone wrote in earlier, so we can create something new, a new future. How about a new future for us? We get to dream a new future. We don't have to just deal with the cards that we're dealt with, right? Let's just throw not all of them away, but let's build something new, something that's from the heart would be probably a good start.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what
and then that'll also affect how we treat animals. We're not nice to animals. We're not nice to children. We're not nice to each other, and all of that will change too.
It will, and it all takes some time. But do you feel a quickening at all? I know a lot of people talk about that there's a quickening here.
A quickening in terms of information coming out?
As far as a quickening of that you have this mission, you get a mission or a download, and then it's bigger than you and you've got to do it.
Oh, yes, I do feel that. I feel like yes, absolutely. Once you're plugged into your mission, things start to move really quickly. Or once you're plugged into your purpose, things move quickly.
Yeah. And where you start hitting that synchronicity where everything just kind of, isn't that tripped out when that happens? Like, oh my God, that just happened.
Yeah.
Well, like you speaking at an Alien Con, that's huge. That's a huge thing,
That was very, yes, because I had just, for Alien Con to show up in Baltimore of all places, right after I write my book, that was a message for me. And for them to even accept me as a speaker, and the book had just come out 2 weeks prior. No one knew me. Oh, I'm still not like big or famous or anything, but then, I mean, like nothing. And so the whole thing was just shocking and fantastic.
Yeah. And they took a risk on you, but they also knew they go by their feeling probably, or it was a setup, right?
Wow, that happened. Yeah, it's almost illogical.
And so let's talk a little bit about your mission then and your work, because you're doing it. And so where did you start before all of this? What were you doing before you took all this huge mission on?
Well, I've been a spiritual counselor or a soul purpose coach for the past 10 years. And before that, I have a biology degree from Loyola University. I had intended to go to medical school, and I decided not to. And then I was going to become an acupuncturist, and then I decided not to. And then I just played this game of having a whole bunch of different jobs. I had my own business. I was a jewelry designer, and I had sales reps all over the country, and I had a store and kiosks and all that kind of stuff. I did that for a while, and I was just never satisfied. Just never pacified or satisfied. I'm like, there has to be more than this. There has to be more than this. And about 12 years ago or so, I had to know if these paranormal or psychic abilities that I had to know if I was insane and I needed help, or if they were real. Dead people were coming to me, all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And so I got the answer that I needed. I'm not insane. It's legit. And then I started doing the sessions, and that took off. And at that time, I was working in an accounting firm, and I did my sessions on the weekend, and I worked in that office during the week. And after a couple of years of doing that, I quit that job. And I just did all my sessions full time. And that was jumping off a cliff too.
Oh yeah. I know
so
that
I've done nothing but jump off cliffs.
Yeah. But that's what makes life exciting. If you're really having, I remember there's a rock star, I forget his name, but he said, they always say how young and how amazing he looks. And he said, it's because I always try and do something that scares me to death. Isn't that great?
Yes.
And I try and do that. So it's like speaking in front of a large group it's challenging, but after you do it, it's such a relief. But you feel like you pushed yourself and you feel more alive that way, more vital for sure.
Yes, I can completely align with that. And plus, my parents are adventurers. They left a very cushy, very comfortable life in Istanbul when after I was born. We came to Canada, and then we came to the DC suburbs. And they came here not knowing English. And so courageous, so brave. I admire them so much. So I have that adventurous explorer genes in me.
Yeah, well, probably as an explorer on the galactic realm as well, you know. We do have Rose says, I had the similar process happen, Sasquatch style. Post-encounter, it took me 8 years. Now, listening to you, I think I'm ready to transfer it further and perhaps deeper, indigenous alien style. Thank you.
Wow, Rose.
Yeah.
So what is she saying there, Barbara?
Well,
what is she saying? Is she saying that she is ready to process her Sasquatch event?
That's what it looks like. Yeah. You know, that it...
that's fantastic. Oh, my God. That makes me very happy.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. And that it happened. You know, first you have to wrap your brain around it. And then once you wrap your brain around it, then you're ready for the next level, right? It's like this unveiling that happens, you know, one after another after another.
Yes, very much so. And everyone is on their own timetable.
Right.
And you can't rush it. And some people never do it. But I'm here to help people, understand what's happening to them and not to fear it. And not to think that they were being abused or that they were being used, and all of this is against their will. And I really, really want that way of thinking about abduction. I would really like to see that change.
Well, and you're doing that with your talks and with education, you know, with teaching that you're doing, and with having an extraordinary experience, and then having hear other people tell their stories. Then it gives you courage to tell your story, and then from that point is your jumping off point where you get to really grow and change and transform it. No one can do it all by 5 o'clock. I remember trying to do that, right? You know, you want it all by 5 o'clock, please, because, you know, I got things to do. You know, I want the download. You got to be careful, right, of how much you can stretch yourself into that physical body that you have here on the 3D.
Yeah, you have to be good to yourself, and you just have to go at a pace that feels right. And I really do believe it's important to share our stories. Besides the free forum that I have for experiencers where they can share their stories with me privately, I also have something on my website called True ET Stories, where I share anonymously small snippets of the stories and I've been talking to experiencers around the world. So I share small snippets of their stories. I share pictures, drawings that they've sent me. And I've been told that many times that as people read through this, that it reminds them of something, or it activates something within them, or it makes them feel like, oh my gosh, someone else saw that, or someone else felt that, and it helps them also come out. It's important to come out to yourself first, and then it really is important to come out to somebody else. And these days, it's so much easier because of the internet and the Facebook groups and all of this, so much easier. There's no reason not to anymore. You can find support almost everywhere these days. It's, 10, 20 years ago, it wasn't the case.
No, not at all.
So I really do encourage people to come out to themselves first, and then you can come out to me, or you can come out to a friend. Coming out to someone like me, you're safe and you're not being judged. And the more of us who do this, the quicker we're going to learn the truth, because this whole disclosure movement is going to happen through individuals. It's individual work. As we face our own truths as we look at the lies we're telling ourselves, become our authentic selves. When we demand the truth from ourselves individually and personally, then we can demand the truth collectively. It's not going to happen collectively if we're not trying to find the truth within ourselves individually.
It's true. And it takes time, it takes effort, and it's sometimes not easy, and it's sticky, and it's messy, and it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
But is it worth it?
And you can end marriages over it. You can lose friendships over it. You might lose your job. You might move. But all of these things are aligned with your new frequency. I talk about the law of alignment. Some people call it the law of attraction, but quantum physics says the energy of everything is everywhere. So I don't believe you have to attract anything. I believe the energy of what you want is in front of you, if not inside of you. So all you have to do is tweak your energy to align with the energy of what you want, and then it pops into your reality. And so that's what we're doing. We're changing our frequencies as we are expressing our authentic selves, as we're coming out to ourselves, as we're coming out to other people. And when you change your frequency, you might not align with your husband or your wife or your best friend or your job or where you live, and these things could change, but it's all for your benefit.
And to watch all of that is like, oh my God, I'm watching myself actually do this, go through it. Sometimes I don't know about you, but I felt like I was watching myself go through this in a way, you know?
Yeah, because you are used to looking at yourself from the higher perspective. And that's what it feels like you're watching a TV show about yourself.
Right? Yes, exactly. And so from this little girl that started these experiences to where you are now and coming out and doing your work on an earth level. I see you, traveling the world and doing this, as your real mission here. How are you feeling about that? How's the future feel to you for this and for your people that you're going to meet and connect with?
It feels right on. I don't have any fear about the future. I don't worry about the future. I've conditioned myself to concentrate on the now as much as I can. But I'm in this, and I can't step out of it. I'm getting more entrenched and meeting more interesting people like you. And it's just like something is just grabbed me by the ankles and it just pulled me in, and I'm in, and I'm staying in. And this is going to be what I'm going to be doing for a while, for a long time. Might be until I die, I don't know, but I definitely know for a while. I'm going to be speaking at more conferences. I'm so honored that I was asked to speak next year at the Human Origins Conference in Albuquerque.
Beautiful.
Do you know that one? Yeah,
yes,
that's a really cool one. And I also had some other conferences in the works that haven't been confirmed yet. And so I just really want to talk a lot more. I want to do a lot more conferences. I have my YouTube channel and also communicate more with experiencers. And so this is really taking up my life, and that's okay. It feels good. And I no longer care what people think. I'm very open now. I don't hide any of it. And getting rid of this fear that I had of what people thought was so debilitating. So debilitating. It was not allowing me to activate my potential. And that's what the ETs helped me. That's why they put those 2 red X's on my ass. And for me to come out and get rid of that vibration that I was holding on to, of fear of what people thought of me. And then once I let that go, I just feel like I'm flying.
Yeah. Well, there's freedom. If you can go through that and not get stuck or get stuck for a little while and then get unstuck, but that what you get in the end is freedom.
Yes. freedom to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that is our natural inclination.
It is.
That is in the fabric of our energy,
Mm-hmm.
is we know freedom.
We do. And adventure. There was a wonderful interview with Emery Smith and David Adair. And David Adair said, we're explorers. Don't forget that. That's really what humans are. We're explorers. And
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I love that. That we forgot. We can't contain us. You know, don't try and tame us, right?
Yeah, we've forgotten a lot, haven't we? At what point did we forget?
Oh, it's been we've been asleep for a while, you know. But the giants are awakening, so look out.
Yeah, talk about giants. You know, I'm really fascinated with the skeletons that they find of those really huge people.
Yes.
And how that's not really coming out.
Mm-hmm.
When that comes out, you know, there's so much in those elongated skulls and all of that. We all see it.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah. And for us in the United States and the I forget the canyon where they found a whole bunch of Egyptian things as well. So do you have a past life that helped you, or a time period that you find that's significant for you?
Oh, a past life. Well, first of all, you just said something about the caves and the Egyptians. Are you talking about the Taos caves?
Yes.
In Ecuador?
Yes.
Yeah. So a friend of mine, Alex Chianetti, wrote the book about the Taos caves. Do you know him?
No, I don't.
Okay, it's a new book. It's really cool. He's done a lot of extensive research into that. It's really incredible. Okay, so the past life that's helped me the most. I know about many. Past life that's helped me the most.
Or your favorite. The most intriguing.
Past life. Oh gosh, there's so many. Well, there was one that really explains to me why my whole entire life I've been so 50-50 about having kids. I was like, if I have them, great. If I don't, great. It doesn't matter. Either way, I'll be fine. And that's a little bit of an unusual attitude when it comes to a woman. At least it was with my friends. I was the only one that really had that attitude. I was like, the people would ask me, don't you want to have kids? I'm like, I really don't care. I mean, if I do, that's great. And if I don't, that's great. It doesn't matter. And I really never knew where that came from. But I had a life where I killed myself because I couldn't have children.
Oh.
And as I was coming out of it, I realized, you know, what the hell did I do that for? That was stupid. And that makes sense to me now. And I learned that that the need to have children is not, how can I say, not the only reason that women are on Earth.
Right. Right.
And if you don't have kids, it's perfectly okay.
Yeah, that's your creative energy. You don't have to use all that to have a baby. You can do that to be a galactic ambassador on Earth to help people while you're here, to create. You created a book. You created, this sacred, this safe place for people to come and be healed.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And it's really interesting when you're in touch with your past lives, whether you go to regression therapy or whether you see them on your own through meditation or in dreams or whatever it is. Sometimes I like to think, well, as I'm sitting here, I'm so alive, but it could very well be that I call our past lives our alternate lives, because I do believe that
I like
past lives
that.
are not in the past, they're happening right now.
Right.
So I call alternate lives. It could very well be that as you and I are sitting here, Barbara Jean, talking, that
my new friend,
in an alternate life, we could be dying.
Yes. Yeah.
and we don't even know it.
Yeah.
And so when I think of death in those terms, I'm like, oh my God, I could be dying right now. I mean, yeah, it's the actual moment of death is a really easy process.
Oh,
it's
sure.
One moment of death, and then poof, you're free, and then you go on living.
Yeah, and then you just find another avatar body, which could be an alien body.
Mm-hmm.
It could be,
it could be anything.
It could be anything.
Absolutely anything.
Isn't that
It's
just exciting?
Amount of possibilities.
That's so exciting. You're like, okay, let's get an avatar body and go to Mars. That would just be really great, you know?
In another dimension.
Yes, or, you know, and with me, it's always, let's go off planet. That's where the fun is, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, quantum physics says that there's parallel Earths, and we're living on parallel Earths in slightly different conditions. And I like to think, I do believe that. I think there's an unlimited parallel Earths. And every time you make a decision, you kind of like zip into another alternate reality. And then you make another decision and you slip into another slightly different alternate reality. And sometimes your spouse might go with you, or your friends might go with you, or sometimes they won't. And you slip into this other version of Earth with every decision that you make.
Yeah. So if you're going to be here and your energy's here on the third dimension now, what change do you want to make while you're here, right?
Are you asking me what I want to change about myself?
No, or about the planet itself.
Oh, I would like people to feel that they can think freely without punishment.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that makes sense.
That is the crux of our disclosure issue, is that we've been conditioned that we cannot think freely, and if we do, we're punished, whether society punishes you or religious dictates punish you. And this is something I just want to tell people, that you have permission to think freely.
Yay!
And once we do that, then we can, then it just makes sense. Oh, I can think freely. Well, then if I can think freely and I'm not going to go to hell for it, or if I can think freely and, you know, I'm not going to be ridiculed and judged for it, then you can start thinking about the possibilities of other life forms.
Right.
You can start thinking about all these things that you were afraid to think of before. I really think that is a huge issue. I don't know. I'm not talking for the world, but I am talking for the United States of America.
Right.
That we are punished for thinking freely.
Yeah, I love that. So we can change that, and you're doing that with your work. I want to thank you for coming on the Cosmic Oracle Show today and talking with such a big heart and such authentic self showing up, you know, in all your glory. And thanks to all of our listeners and for coming in on Friday night. I know your time's precious here, and we can. And so
I'm so grateful for everybody, and I see that there are 52 comments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and reply and do whatever I can.
Wonderful.
If anyone asks me a question. I didn't realize there were that many, and that makes me feel great. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, and we'll share it. People will share over and over on their Facebook pages too. And so we'll leave with how can they reach you if they're listening in on Revolution Radio all over the world. How's the best way to get a hold of you and to set up to get a healing and reading from you, or session with you, or consultation? What do you had a name for it, I think.
Soul session or
soul session. That's it. That's it.
Well, I have my website, planetsev.com. Oh, the reason it's called Planet Sev is because I actually have a planet and a star system named after me in the Star Wars galactic system.
Ooh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm in Wikipedia if you look up SEV TOK.
I love it.
So I have planetsev.com, my website. I have the book on Amazon. I have Alien Spirit TV, my YouTube channel, which I really enjoy. I have videos about a variety of topics. I talk about my personal ET contact I also talk about DNA activation, ascension, and other spiritual and metaphysical knowledge. I have a newsletter, a monthly newsletter that you can sign up for on my website.
Thank you. Thanks you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next week. And again, have a great week and shine on. And thank you. Just love one another. And we'll see you next Friday. Thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio. I'm coming to make commercial advertising.